Ladies and gentlemen, today is a very exciting day in the chess world as we begin a $2 million chess tour. The Champions Chess Tour of 2023, where all of the world's best players are going toe-to-toe over the course of several months to win a lot of money. This is an event primarily that is held online, but obviously once we get down to the final 8, as the event goes longer and longer, they will likely do a live final just like they did last year with the Chess.com Global Championship. Now, where this event gets really weird is that every single event, there is 3 different divisions. So Division A, or Division 1, has the best players in the world. Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru, etc. Then there's Division B or Division 2, which has like all the world's best that are not in Division A. And then there's Division C, or Division 3, where it's like the people who are not even qualified for B. It's a lot of players, a lot of people. I've put a link in the description if you want to like see who's in what bracket. The rules are very complicated, and as this event goes on and on, I think it's time to like learn the rules and understand the format and everything. For now, let's just enjoy the chess. But essentially, the better you perform in the subdivisions, the higher chance you have of qualifying to a future Division A. And if you win Division A or any of these events, you qualify for the super mega ultra super cool grand final. I hope that makes sense, sort of. If it doesn't, you know, it'll start making sense in the future. So this is the very first event, the knockout of Group A, and Magnus is playing against Alexei Sarana. Alexei Sarana is the Russian player who actually beat Magnus in the World Blitz Championship. Magnus plays d4, and lo and behold, basically a worst nightmare situation of any human on the planet. Magnus plays the Catalan. Yeah, I mean, Magnus playing the Catalan is really tough to meet because it's essentially a positional squeeze of an opening where Magnus gets to play a million different move orders like he did in the World Chess Championship match. And then, you know, in this position, like any normal person on the planet would castle. Yeah, Magnus plays h4 because, you know, what? Yeah. Because he plays h4, because that's what he does. Doesn't castle, doesn't, you know, just h4. And so the thing about h4 is that he's obviously going to go knight. Well, no, it's not obvious at all. You would think he's going to go h5, h6. I think he wants to play knight g5 in the future. Not right now, but the point is that black can't actually take the knight. This is called a fishing pole or fish hook. And now the rook and the queen are very strong. And you're really only able to do this if you haven't castled. You see, if you castle after h4, it's still probably fine, but h4 becomes dumber. So Magnus just acts like, you know, nothing happened. He plays e4, very aggressive, and he then plays knight g5. Now, the computer wanted black to take this free pawn and just sort of hang on with b5 and stuff. A little hard to do. So Magnus does it this way. And then instead of taking the pawn back in the center of the board, he just plays the move d5. So this is clearly some sort of like ridiculous preparation that he's come to the board with. Point is that, again, he has various attacks. Black is never able to do this because that's actually not a threat. Like, by the time that you take on g5, I will take, and my attack here on the h-file is ridiculously strong. So an absolutely fascinating idea in the Catalan to just play h4, then blow up the center, and then put the knight on g5, and then, I mean, this is dank. This is some really dank stuff here. d5, Sarana cannot even take the free pawn because after knight takes and bishop takes, he's probably too concerned about this. And at some point, Magnus will take this back, and his attack will continue. So, uninterrupted. And I mean, meanwhile, white has every single piece actively participating in the attack, pressure constantly. So, Sarana goes astray with knight h5 and tries to fight back with his f-pawn. The problem is that by fighting back with his f-pawn, yes, he is only temporarily securing the center, but what he's doing is he's weakening the squares behind him. All right, so we have knight e6, and now Magnus can take the rook, but the rook is not the priority right now. The rook's relative value is about the same, if not lower than that knight. So there's something called relative value in a chess game, which is the fact that as a game is going on, a piece either loses or gains value compared to its original value. That rook is not worth 5 points. That knight is not worth 3. That knight's probably a 4-point knight, and that rook is, I don't know, 4 is generous. Locked away in the corner like that and not moving at all, I don't know, maybe a 3.5-point knight. So that knight is super strong, and Magnus takes this opportunity to play a very nice pawn break g4, attacking the knight, sacrificing a pawn to remove the center defense, and now this. And I mean, it's just going from bad to worse here for Sarana. I mean, good lord. All these problems to deal with. Now, finally, Magnus does take the rook and just castles. Because every good player knows, like, sometimes the pressure is over, and now it's time to just start converting. Could he have not castled? Could he have played bishop f5 and all? Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, long castles is nice and practical because he just slides his king over to b1. He's up in exchange. An exchange being a rook for a knight. He also has a passed pawn. He has everything that you need as a 2800 rated player to convert a position. So what does he do? Locks in his bishops, puts his rook smack dab in the middle of black's position, and brings the knight as well. And the position's just gonna collapse. Too much pressure, and now we begin the chopping down process. First I take the knight, then I take the knight, then I bring my queen, I take the pawn, and I'm simply going for the glory. Queen h5, rook e7, and Sarana has absolutely no way of stopping rook h7 and mate. That was obliteration. Magnus just, I mean, vanquished his opponent. Like, absolutely. I mean, he played a Catalan, he played some normal moves, and my man went h4 and absolutely never looked back. Like, that game was never close. And Magnus did knock out Sarana. He was the first semi-finalist. Remember, it's very confusing. So if you'd like to look at the bracket at any point, I've put a link in the description to clear up any of your confusion. There's like 100 players in this event, but because Magnus and Sarana are in Group A, they are kind of the elite, so they don't have to touch anybody else. It's kind of like society, you know? Yeah. Anyway, there were some other matchups, including the one Hikaru was playing. Hikaru was going up against Gukesh, so this is also Group A. And yeah, Gukesh went after Hikaru. He played a very forcing line, played a Nimso Indian, and then he played a3, very forcing line, trying to get the bishop off the board. And then he played like this, which is e4, trying to play for e5 and some attack on the king. And when Hikaru took a step back, Gukesh played h4. I was like, what the? I've never seen this. Why everybody going h4 all the time? I mean, seriously, it's like it's a chess.com quest that if you unlock, you know, you're going to get 6 months diamond membership. h4. What? What does that move even begin to do? I don't know. As a human, you know, I'm thinking 4 pawns. I'm thinking bishop e3 to move my knight, to move my queen. That's what I would play, but I'm commentating the games. I'm not playing them. And then he just plays h5. Like, why did he not go d5? You know, I understand this is going to happen, but I figure, you know, knight g3 or something. And then I'll defend my pawn. Oops, I'll defend. See, I can't even draw the arrows. How are you going to let me play the game? But he just plays h5. And then he just plays h6. I mean, Gukesh just doesn't care. He's like, all right, I'm attacking. Now, very important moment. Hikaru can't ignore this because he doesn't want Gukesh to open up the position. So he plays g6. And now the h-pawn is stuck in the way. All right, so now white plays bishop e3. And Hikaru does exactly what every good Nimso Indian player does in a closed position. He goes for white's weakness. Knight a5. He's going for c4. He's basically saying, look, one of two things is going to happen. Number one, I lose because I get checkmated, which can happen. White can start a massive attack. Number two, I don't get mated, I win because I'm just going to win the pawn on c4. Then I'm going to chop all this down. Then I'm going to attack on the c file. And then we're going to go here. And then we're going to hit the rook and then hit this and then take the juicer. And then we're going to go here and then here. Okay. Like, you know, that's what's going through Hikaru's head at any given moment. So Gukesh needs to somehow give mate, right? Well, Hikaru takes on d4 and takes on d4 back, and now there's a fork. And he takes on d, right? So he won a pawn. And he traded a few pieces. Now, he's gonna have to give up that pawn, which he does, but now he goes for a queen trade. With no queens on the board, Gukesh isn't gonna mate anybody. And with no queens on the board, Gukesh is gonna have a much harder time defending his position against Hikaru's counterplay. So Hikaru just wins the pawn on c4. Just effortless technique here. He's like, Gukesh wants to attack me, but I'm like the god of defense. Like, literally, I don't think there's a better defender on the planet than Hikaru. I mean, you can argue Magnus, but... So Hikaru's like, all right, d5. All right, you coming forward? Let's trade. And that's it. I mean, Hikaru just has an extra pawn, just a clean extra pawn against Gukesh. Rook c4. Rook c8. And breaking out with his pawn. I mean, he just makes it look completely effortless. And he's not rushing the exchanges. Hikaru's keeping the rooks exactly where they are because he wants to trade on his terms. He either wants to get the rook in or combine his pawns together. So we have takes, king f7, also very expertly done. He doesn't just recapture. He takes an opportunity to get his king closer to the action. Rook stays active. Knight c5 stays active. And look at Hikaru just not even taking this back. Rook a4 attacking the pawn. And now Hikaru trades. And it's very clean. He just gets 2-0, which is completely winning. You don't need 2-1 or 1-0. You get 2-0. Gukesh tries his best. There's nothing. Hikaru deflects the knight. Look at that. Deflecting the knight via sacrifice to try to promote his pawn. Gukesh comes back, but that's it. Here come Hikaru's pawns, and you will not stop them. b4, knight c5. That's it. And he made it look effortless. Just completely effortless did Hikaru, and Hikaru knocked out Gukesh. I mean, Hikaru really just like... I mean, he plays these games where people get aggressive with him, and sometimes he's like, really? With me? Oh, that's really adorable that you thought you ever had a chance. I mean, he's so good at defending, it's unbelievable. Him and Magnus compared to some of these players, like, especially in Rapid and Blitz, it's really, I mean, it's just really exceptional stuff. So, Hikaru and Magnus are our first to advance. But 2 more epic games. So, Firouzja Erigaisi is another matchup in Group A. For people that don't know, Alireza Firouzja is a superstar. Youngest player to cross 2800. Haven't seen a lot of him recently. His opponent is the amazing player from India, Erigaisi. Absolute beast matchup. Young guys going to battle. Aggressive setup by Firouzja, b4. And aggressive setup from Erigaisi, striking back in the center with d5. Big tension in the center, taking on e4. And this one got off to a very hostile start. Erigaisi in this position was like, yo, Firouzja. Nice king, bro. Knight h5. My ideas include this. f5, f4, g5, g4. And if you go here to stop my knight from coming here, well, then my ideas involve bishop h3. Also long walks on the beach. All right, so now I got all this. Firouzja was like, I don't like that. Erigaisi was like, yeah, but I like that. And now we're going to put something else on g4. All right, queen e2, bishop slides back, pinning the knight to the queen. Now knight c4, looking to either take or attack the queen or come back. So bishop d6. King to g2. And now Erigaisi lashes out with b5. Now, in this position, I cannot really understand for the life of me why Firouzja did not play knight e3. I thought that was the entire idea, to try to get the bishop. I figured something like this. I figured king h1, and then he would continue to pressure this. However, Firouzja is a better player than me, so I'm going to trust him that he put his knight over there, and he just went to take that pawn. But rook b8 came... And then he didn't take the pawn. So now his knight is stuck. Now Erigaisi plays knight e7, simultaneously defending the pawn and trying to rotate over here to get another piece to the party. Queen c8 back. And now Firouzja played f4. And just like in the other game that you saw, where Hikaru got attacked and went, you attacking me? Erigaisi looked at this and went, you're attacking me? I don't think you understand the situation here. H6, knight back, pawn takes f4. You think I'm supposed to be afraid of you? Check. And watch how effortlessly this attack rolls forward. Queen to g4 threatens mate and also threatens to take the pawn. Queen f4. Now, I imagine Firouzja thought that maybe he had some sort of counterplay here. He doesn't. Black just has knight g4. But it goes from bad to worse because look at this move from Erigaisi. Knight to I mean, good lord. Do you understand the point of that move? No? Queen f4, knight f2, smothered mate. Smothered mate. With the bishop patrolling the king's... I mean, come on. What are we even looking at here? Queen goes back to e2. This man Erigaisi Bro. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Smothered mate and a fork? Fork is worse than smothered mate, but I mean, come on. Queen e4, bishop c1, and Erigaisi not only defeated Firouzja in emphatic fashion in this game, Erigaisi swept Firouzja. He beat him 3-0. What? That's not supposed to happen. Yeah. Now, the fourth person to qualify to the semis was Wesley So. He did it against Rauf Mamedov. 3 draws and a win for Wesley. A solid match, a very back and forth match. So tomorrow, we have Magnus versus Erigaisi. We have Hikaru versus Wesley So, which is a rematch of the semi-final in the CGC, the Champions Chess, not the Champions Chess Tour, the Global Championship. By the way, tell me in the comments, is anybody confused ever? I'm getting confused. And I'm a chess professional. I cannot imagine what you're feeling, all right? We got World Championship, World Fischer Random Championship, World Rapid and Blitz Championship, the Speed Chess Championship. We got the Chess.com Global Championship. We got the Champions. Why is everybody a champion, damn it? All right, how about no one's a champion? I'm confused. I don't even know what's going on anymore, and I've played chess for 20 years. I can't imagine someone coming into chess 6 months ago, why is everybody a champion? I don't know. Really, I can't explain it. I have one last game to show you. All right, this is going to be a little dessert game. For those of you that stuck around, this game is brilliant. This is from Division 2, and you know that's insane that Division 2 has players like Salem Saleh, #1 player from the UAE, and Vladimir Kramnik, who is a multiple-time world champion, and a beast. I mean, he paved a tremendous amount of chess theory. Really, just an absolute chess legend. Arguable top 5 player of all time, but in my opinion, a top 10 player of all time for sure. So this game was wild. It was a Bozo Indian. Just kidding. It's called a Bogo Indian, but Bozo is significantly funnier to say. A3, this line where black trades and then secures control of the center. Take, take, bishop b7. Very, very easy position to play with black, but white is a touch better. Take, take, rook d1. Saleh takes the file. And we have queen c7. Like this, and now let's bring the rooks, and Kramnik plays knight a4. Knight a4 attacks the pawn on b2. Now, black has a very cool idea, which is this. And if you take this, it's actually surprisingly hard to get out. The computer tries to find a way to trap the knight. Saleh does it this way, though. Kramnik takes on f3, trying to deflect the queen away from the defense of the bishop. But that actually doesn't work because of that. Now, Kramnik saw that, so he played this move. And now that pawn is basically all but lost. And the point is that if you push it, I'm now getting very quick counterplay with my knights. So, very nice idea here from Kramnik. The problem is that Saleh is like a bowling ball, rolling downhill. So, what that means is, if you let Salem get any speed, there is a reason he is known as the Arabic Falcon. And yes, it's that is his chess.com username. Like, he is the self-appointed Arabic Falcon. But when he picks up any sort of momentum, he will demolish you. So it is no surprise that in this position, as Kramnik was dancing in with the knights and trying to get the bishop and playing knight d3, Saleh traded. And then he played rook c4, and Kramnik played f5, gluing his knight in, right? But all of a sudden, Salem played rook c7. And it was very clear that he had very bad intentions for Kramnik. He was going to play all sorts of attacking things. And Kramnik here had an option to take a step back, secure the position. You know, if rook takes a7 is played, you have queen b8, trapping the rook, which is just absolute bogus that you can trap the rook with a king. I mean, that's just nuts. So Kramnik got into the position. But when you fight the falcon with a falcon, or you fight the fire with fire, or whatever it is, you best be prepared, because here comes queen h5, and here comes rook c2 deflecting the queen, and you can repeat moves here for a moment, but Kramnik grabs the pawn. And Salem uncorks. The queen no longer defends g7, which is important, because in this position, Salem sacrificed. Say it with me. Say it with your chest. The rook on g7. Rook takes g7. And the point is that you bring in your other rook. If the king goes back, it's mate. But I think what Kramnik overlooked is that in this position, white plays not a check, but f4. A pawn move is death to the black king. Just f4. What's the point? The king has no legal moves. I threaten bishop h4. Oops, I threaten bishop h4. I threaten queen h6. I threaten queen g5 if the knight moves. I threaten everything. And that's it. Black just cannot survive. There's no way to survive this position, and the game is over. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Now, Division B is a mess. There's like 60 players in it. I will keep you posted on the Champions Chess Tour. There is a bracket in the description for you to follow along. Tomorrow, we will see the semifinals of the top group. If you see any notable games, let me know in the comments, and I will cover them, because there's like 100 games going on every day. So really, I have no idea what I'm even supposed to look for. But I'll do my best. Champions Tour is back. Magnus is back. Hikaru is back. Your favorite players are back. And your favorite recaps are back too. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Now get out of here.